Okay, so hello everybody. Good morning. My name is Stefano, Rigano. I'm a user experience and UI designer at Odoo since 3 years now. And today we will talk about tips and tricks about to how design website themes. I don't know if someone of you attend to other talks that I had in the past years. Maybe someone new. Yeah, you okay? So we will try to make a small recap about how to create a theme. It will be super fast, but let's talk about me. It will be fast. I received an email from our team explaining how to properly have a presentation and a suggestion about how to establish connection with the people. So I just remember to look at you sometimes. This is what I read. I have to establish eye contact, so don't get panicked if I look at you like I get frozen. It's just that I'm trying to follow the guidelines. So what I did in the last year, I was responsible for the UI revamp on version 11. So everything you saw before during the presentation of Fabian, the form view, the Kanban view, the list view, I was responsible of this part of the project. I was responsible also for Odoo SH UI and other projects like manufacturing for tablet and so on. So today we will talk about the default theme that exists in Odoo. I will explain exactly how it is and how it's possible to customize it. How it works, the asset management. Then we will have a look to the editor tricks. We will have a live session to see these tricks in action. Then we will talk a little bit about the JavaScript framework and what is new in version 11. And then if we will have time, I hope so, maybe a question answer part where you could ask me a question. So let's start by the default theme. The default theme is a very basic theme that is always installed in Odoo. And actually, when you create a new theme or you buy one of the theme that we provide or our partners provide, you are extending the default theme. The default theme is around the website builder module, let's say, and it provides structure and asset management and compatibility with the website editor. Everything you do to customize your theme, or if you want to create a new theme, actually you are doing that on top of the default theme. This is how the default theme looks. If you know Odoo, this kind of design and layout, it looks familiar, I assume, for you. And those are the main features of the default theme. So as I said before, it provides a basic layout. It provides the integration with the website editor. So each time you click on edit, customize a snippet, change the background color of a div, actually you are calling functions that are triggered by the default theme. And it also provides basic snippets like the text left, image right, the banner, the lists, all this kind of basic snippet that we usually have in Odoo. The default theme includes some libraries that are very useful. Twitter Bootstrap, both less and JavaScript. jQuery, jQuery UI, and _JS. These libraries are the tools that are included by default that you can use for extend or customize the theme. So this part is important. I'm going very fast. If you have some question, you can just show me your hand. The default theme provides a structure, as I said before. Everything is inside the main div with the ID wrap. Then we have the header. The header is the same for each page of the website. This is why I use this little icon that we will see later. This little icon we'll see later. Then we have the main element that is the actually real. Okay. It should stop here actually. Yeah. I think that I changed the proportion of the presentation to fit the screen and something messed up. But okay. So the main part should stop here. And this is the actual content of the page. So when you click on edit, add new snippets, and save, you're actually saving this part. So not the header and neither, well, it's messed up. And neither the footer. The footer and the header are the same for all the website. The main element and the div with the ID wrap inside are related to the single page only. So let's talk now about asset management. Everything in the Odoo website relies on Bootstrap by default. Starting from Bootstrap, we have two different bundles of assets. One is website assets frontend, and the other one is assets editor. Assets frontend contains all the assets, the less and the JavaScript that will be used in the. Where is it? Can you turn it? There is the. Can you turn it off? Oh, wait. So, starting from Bootstrap, we have asset frontend and asset editor. Asset frontend is used to handle all the JavaScript and less assets that are used to visually print the page that will be seen by the user. And website asset editor are related only to the user interface of the editor itself. So when you click on edit again and you click on a snippet and you have a customized menu where you can change the color of the text of this kind of stuff, this is everything in web assets editor. But the style of the cell of the text, the background color, the background image, everything is in asset frontend. So how it works? Basically, the system will compile Bootstrap default with the website asset frontend and website assets editor in two different files. So one for the frontend and the other one for the editor. These two files contains everything in your website for the frontend and for the editor. It's everything compiled and minified together in one file. The good point is that when the visitor will reach your website, we'll have to download just one file of assets rather than 15 file of Bootstrap, the 4 file that you added to specify your specific page, and maybe other 4 files that are used for something else. Everything will be compiled in one single file. Yes?
If you enable debug assets, then it's just separated, right?
Yeah, you just.
Okay, for the,
yeah, yeah, indeed. It was one of the tricks. So one of the tricks is to avoid to compile them. We will see it later. So the first question will be, now that we know how the asset system works, and this is an example of how the system works. So here we have asset frontend that is used to render the page, and website asset editor that together with asset frontend will compile the page in edit mode. So now that this is clear, I think, yeah, we can discuss about how to add new assets. So we have these two bundles that are triggered in different moments, one for the visiting and one for the edit mode. And the first idea could be to add just a file, a CSS file, somewhere in the middle. I don't care. I just want that my title become red magically, so we'll just add the CSS file in the middle. This doesn't work. I mean, it could work visually, but it's very bad because what are you doing is adding a new file on top of a system that that is not integrated. So if in the future you will have to maintain this website or change it, you will have a lot of troubles doing that. So the best way to do that is to include your asset file directly in the system before the two bundles are compiled. So for example, I create a less file with all my style for the wonderful typography and the background option that I want to use on my website with all the style, and I will add it inside website asset frontend. Then I will create style and JavaScript option to manage this option in the editor part. And my styles for both the editor and the page itself of the page will be compiled in the two different files, but this time they will be minified and compiled with the entire system. So this was more a technical background to properly understand how the system works. Yeah, it's not bad. I will suggest you to refer to the documentation website that contains detailed information and a sample about how to do everything I did before, everything I explained you before. For example, when I first said about adding the assets here, in the documentation website you will find the code example with how to easily XPath this template and inject your less file inside. So let's talk about the editor tricks. The target of this presentation is mixed developer and user audience, so I will try to touch both the sides, let's say. The first thing is what we said before about the asset debug. The counter side, as our friend said before, is that these two files are heavy. Let's have an example. I have a web page here. There is maybe an issue with the background color. I want to change the background color of this particular element. So what I do is to inspect the element. I see here that the color is assigned by a class called BG Delta. Okay, it's fine. I want to change this color. I want to see how it works in the system. And this in web asset frontend, line 3.3. Okay, simple. Let's open it in a new tab. And yeah. This is super good for machine, but it's not good for designer developers if you want to debug and simply change the variables, right? So what we can do, as our friend said before, is to add debug assets to the link of the current page. So now we inspect again the element. We see that the name of the file is different. We open it in a new tab. and now it's much more readable. You can easily look for your class in the file itself, and here there is the background option that you want to change. But more important, you have the name of the file. That this is what really matters when you have to deal with 15, 20 different less files. So this is very useful trick. There are questions on that? No? Okay. So the important thing is debug assets. Just add it at the end of the URL of your current page, and you will have all the assets. Another trick is how to positioning a background image inside your page. Since Bootstrap is a responsive environment, maybe you create your page, you apply the background image, you scratch the page, and the result will be different. So you could end up with something like this, you know, and it doesn't look very professional. I mean, she's in the picture, but the other one not, and even the cat is not well done. So what we can do is to use an option that is included in the website builder by default. In this case, you can see that the current image is perfect for the aspect ratio that we're using. But let's change the image with something else. OK, so this is a good example. We have the picture of a cat. Sorry, I don't know if you can see that. We have the picture of a cat, but we can't see the cat itself. So here there is the option. It's called background image sizing. You can define the focus point of your picture. So in this case, I say that the focus point of my picture is the face of the cat. Actually, we want to see also the little arm here. So this is the focus point of the picture. And the system will automatically adapt the background image in order to have always the focus point in the center of the picture. And this works very well, especially if you if you scratch the page. OK, this is normal that it works, but you see, it's always in the right position. So again, customize background image sizing. OK. OK, another trick that actually is a feature. You probably saw that during Fabian's keynote, is the new page management system. Yeah, this guy. So clicking on content, manage page, you have the list of all the pages, and you can modify the page itself, duplicate it. For example, I will duplicate this page. OK. But what is more important for me is this window. It's very simple at the moment, because you have just the name, the URL, and the option to publish the page or not, and basically all the options that Fabian showed you before. But the most important thing is that now pages in Odoo are treated like object. They are not just raw data placed in the database. Since pages are object, you can define custom attribute for that object. For example, you can say that all the pages in your custom project should have a particular attribute called, I don't know, a product image, or you can define a default background image for different page. It's like opening a new set of possibility for how Odoo handles page. And the potentiality are endless, but the point is that now you can start doing that. Yes?
So it's no more a view with a flag?
Sorry?
It's no more an UI view with a flag?
No, it's, the system is back compatible and it works exactly like the same.
I mean, it's the same model, but it's more extensible, or is it totally separated?
I will give you a designer reply. I know that, okay, I know that now it works and it's possible to specify a specific attribute for a specific page. That is what before it was not possible by default. I will give you at the end of the presentation some suggestion to other talks to assist in order to have specific answers about technical question. I'm not. I know that it works, and I'm super happy about that because it's something that we asked since a long time.
I look at the code.
Okay. Someone have to look at the other side. So. Okay. So this was the page management system. Something else is the HTML editor. So if you know HTML and you know HTML, right? So you will find the HTML editor particularly helpful because you can use it for, of course, customize, adding class, removing element and stuff, but you can basically import inside your web page. Let's modify this one. Any kind of other elements. So just to give you an idea, I commented any frame before. I removed the commenting here. So this iframe basically linked to external content that is placed in another website. And using the HTML editor, I can save. I can place other kind of content inside the page that are not strictly related to Odoo itself. Okay? This is just to show you an example about how it's possible to do with the HTML editor without having the need to code in the real file. One interesting trick about this is that if you if you, for example, made a typo or a mistake in your code and you click on format, the system will highlight you the error. It will say, okay, maybe you have to look here. There is something that is maybe wrong. Okay. So this is the HTML editor. Any question on that? Okay. A useful trick is that you can use the browser console as an editor for the page. So if I go on edit, for example, I can inspect the element and I can apply changes directly in the console rather than open the HTML editor that I showed you before. The good point of using the browser console is that if you're inspecting the page because you're applying changes as we did before, you want to, you can use always the same console. It's much easier. The difference is that if you just use the console and you save the page, the changes will not be applied. This is why we added a security system in order to prevent that you can enter in edit mode, do some stuff that are not exactly related to the user operation that you can do with the mouse, like this one, you know, like intentional operation. And so we added a system that avoids that the page is saved automatically. What you can do to cheat this system is to, again, use the console to apply your changes, and after, just made a small text change. This is enough for the editor to think, okay, the user has changed the content. It means that he won't intentionally save the new content of the page. And now, clicking on Save, the class is correctly removed. Okay? Okay. Any question on that? It's basically. Okay. So, CSS and less editor. If you know CSS and HTML, you can use the editor too here. As Fabian said before, the new less editor here we are. Can be used to change less file on the fly. This means that if, for example, in this case, we have a company called Red. Here there is the logo, and the marketing team decide to change the color of all the text to red because it makes sense. So let's make all the text red. They ask you if it's easy to do. And with the less editor, you can do that in one line. Basically, you define that the text color now is red. You don't have to specify the selector. You don't have to specify the page or the IDE. You have just to change the variable that is included by default using Bootstrap, and the changes are immediately applied. Where you can find the variables, the variables could be found in the official Bootstrap website, in the section Customize. Here there are all the variables that you can use to change the typography, the scaffolding, the layout, the text property of the file. So this was an example to change the variable, but you can also use less functionality. For example, as you can see, the text color is not exactly red like the logo. So you can say, okay, you know what? First, apply this color to the headings instead, because my eyes are burning with this text stuff. And then let's say that the headings color is not red, but dark red, 10%. It's not dark, it's darken. Yeah, and actually the editor showed you that it was a mistake. It was like dark is white. Why? Okay, it's darken. Okay, so now we have dark and red headings, where marketing team suggests to change also the links color. Why not? So we define a variable that is red, is our red, this one. Red, and so we'll change also the link color. So now we have headings and links in red. Okay, any question on that? Yes?
It's not about the text, but when I made my website,
Yep.
I made a problem about the logo. I can't change my logo. It was the Odoo logo.
Yeah.
And,
and you were not able to?
no.
No, what was the problem?
I didn't change my logo.
Okay, it was not possible for you. Okay, we applied some fixes on the logo recently for version 11. The problem was that the logo was taken directly from the backend and it was related to your company data. So it was kind of tricky at the beginning because the website team was applying fix on the logo of the front end and the framework team was applying fix on the logo of the backend in the same time. So, but now it's fixed. For version 11, you should be able to, this is 11, of course, as you can see. You can customize your logo and change it without any ease. Before there were issue, yeah, the version 10, we had some issue with the logo. Okay. Any other question on the last part? Okay. Okay. What I can suggest to you, if you want to create a new website, and so you want to create a new theme for your new website, I suggest you to follow the documentation guideline and create new files, new assets. It's the most clean process. Or you can buy one of our themes or one of our partner teams, or you can download one of the themes made by the community. The HTML and NS editor are super helpful if you want just to use the full theme and apply very fast changes. So for example, if it's a small project and want just to customize the color and apply some minor improvements to the basic layout, I can just use the HTML and less editor and it is enough. It depends by your project. So let's talk about the JavaScript framework. What is new? I prevent your question. There it will be other talks about the details. I'm okay with JavaScript. Actually, I'm okay with. So actually, there are a lot of difference on the JavaScript side. It's still back compatible, but we did a total refactoring of the JavaScript engine. I don't know if you are familiar with how to create snippets and themes in Odoo. There is always a JavaScript side where you can define your option. And we made a totally refactoring, I was saying. The main difference is that now front-end snippets are like back-end widget. It means that if you know how to code in the backend to create widget, you will not no issue to work with the front-end snippets. We use the same classes name, the same functionality, the same overall behavior to handle also the front-end snippets. The other new is that now options communicate with each other. So, for example, if you want to trigger a specific function that occurs when you change the background image of a snippet, you can do it natively in the Odoo framework. You don't have to code weird hacks like, okay, if the selector change, and then I should change for the class again after 1000 milliseconds of delay just to be sure that everything works. No, now it works by default. You can define options that occur, and you can trigger events that occur on specific option. And another news is that now we use request animation frame to handle everything is related to the animation part. So just to give you an example, I made a page before using the parallax snippet. So the parallax snippet is very, it was very expensive by performance point of view, because each time you scroll the page, the background image was performing this parallax effect, slowing a little bit. And so at the end, since the interaction of the user are endless, like more than 100 per second, your computer had to recalculate the position of the background each time. It was very engine expensive. And now I added like tons of parallax snippets in the same page, and everything is super flawless. And this is thanks to this system, request animation frame, that basically renders the animation only when the browser actually needs it. So rather than recalculate the position of the background image each time the user scroll, it recalculates the position of the background image only when the browser is ready to paint the new image. So everything you see here is unfortunately not in the, I mean, this new functionality are not in the documentation website, because everything, a lot of functionality are kind of new. They have been implemented very recently during the last month. But the good point is that if you are interested in that, you're probably a coder, a designer, an experienced designer or developer, so you know how to read code. And the good point is that now the JavaScript engine is well documented inside the code itself. This is mostly work of content smiths that made a huge effort to basically rewrite from the scratch the entire website JavaScript engine. And so here there are tons of nodes, and the name of the classes, the variable, now follow very specific guidelines for naming, and so it's much more easy to read. And this is version 11 by default now. So yeah.
It works on every browser?
Yeah. Yeah, there is a fallback for Internet Explorer 9 that doesn't support, of course, this new system, but the fallback basically used the previous system that was tried to prevent the browser to render, try to, how to say, to interpret the possible number of time that the page has to be rewritten. So it was the previous system. And actually I think that is here. Yeah. Yeah, it's here. Yeah, so this is a clear example. Basically you can use this new implementation of the framework to create your own animation. and it's super powerful. I can show you again. It's surprisingly fast, especially if you consider that all these images are very high resolution, and there are no issues here. Other question about that? Yep.
Can we use any new ES 2015 or 2016 or 17 features? Or not yet?
I'm not sure. Probably one of the developer talks could ask that question. I'm not sure. Other questions? Okay. So, as I said before, there will be other two interesting talks. This will be today, develop an app with the Odoo framework that actually will use some of the front-end functionality that I showed you before. And another one is make your app front-end compatible, and this will enter in deep in the front-end, back-end part. So we will, they will show you how it works in detail, the JavaScript new engine that we implemented. If you are interested in design in Odoo, there will be another talk hosted by me tomorrow here at 12 o'clock about what's the vision about the Odoo design team. If you have any question, is there at the moment? We still have time. Otherwise, yes.
What's the status of multi-website and
Multi-website is not done, as I know, not yet. I should check. I'm not aware about the planning for multi-project. It's planned. Okay, receive it. Development is planned for. You have more information? You have more information about it? Okay. Normally next year. Okay. Other questions? Okay. So, thank you. Have a nice day.